as Beth said, if you feel like asking a question along the way, feel free to unmute yourself and just jump in. Otherwise, you can type in the chat function and I'll try to answer those as we go through as well. I will just turn on my chat. Sorry, I'll just turn on my chat function now. Okay. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in. I'd be more than happy to answer those along the way as well. Okay, so my name is Alana. I'm from the University of the Sunshine Coast, and I studied a Bachelor of Business, and I had a major in Management and Tourism, Leisure and Events. And before we get started, you'll notice the screen behind me has my furry kangaroo friends, and you'll see throughout the presentation there'll be kangaroos. They're not photoshopped, they are actually on campus. So we're one of the Australian universities, I think there's 3 of us that actually have wild kangaroos on campus. And it's sort of like your squirrels, I would say. When I go to an American campus and there's squirrels running around, I think that's fabulous because we don't have squirrels on campus here in Australia. And they're just obviously a little bit larger and don't climb trees. But you will see them throughout the presentation, and I'll explain a little bit about that as we go along. Also, if you don't understand my Australian accent or if I use a different terminology, feel free to ask me to expand on that as well, because I know even though we speak English, we have some slight differences. So have any of you been to Australia before? No? Okay, awesome. So I thought I'd just give some quick facts in general. Beth, do you have other partners in Australia as well as USC?
Yes, we do. We do send some students through Kappa to do some internships in Australia as well.
Okay, so I'll just give you a little bit of an Australian sort of generalisation. So if you are thinking not just about coming to USC, but doing something else in Australia, I can maybe help answer some of those questions as well. So if you do decide to come down to Australia, once restrictions ease and things return to the new normal, I thought I'd put in this slide in terms of Australia being the 6th largest country by area. So if you are planning to do some travel, make sure you plan ahead. Just as an example, to get from the Sunshine Coast to Sydney, it's about a 14-hour drive. So it is, although it looks on the map quite small, it is about the same land mass as the US. So it is a big country. We only have 25 million people though, so a lot less than the US. And as I mentioned, of course, we speak English, but we do have a unique way of saying things, and Australians like to shorten our words. So as an example, we would say, oh, have a nice afternoon. We would say, have a nice arvo. So everything's shortened, and it's, yeah, a little bit more relaxed type of English. Australians are known as Aussies. This isn't offensive, so you can call us Aussies or Australians, whichever you'd prefer. And we have a strong connection to our Indigenous Australians, which are the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And this is something that I think is really unique. If you're looking at studying abroad and you're wanting to take classes that might not be offered at your home university, I think it's really interesting to sort of take those experiences, like learning about the Australian Indigenous people, maybe Australian environments, something that you might not be able to study back home as well. So do keep that in mind for no matter where you study in the world. Think about really immersing yourself in the culture by taking courses that you wouldn't have the chance to do at home. The University of the Sunshine Coast is located on the east coast of Australia, and we're in the state of Queensland. It is quite a large state. We're also known as the Sunshine State because we have good weather most of the year round. And our capital city is Brisbane. So that's quite a large city for us. That's about 1.7 million people, and it's about an hour drive south of the Sunshine Coast. And USC is quite a young university. I think we are the youngest university in Australia, and we were founded in 1996, making it quite a modern and open university here in Australia as well. So that's a little bit about Australia and the region. So I thought I'd jump in here, and just to give you an example of what it would look like for an international student coming to Australia. So obviously it is quite a long flight. So you have to make sure you download some movies or get a flight that has entertainment in it. But I'm not sure how long the flight would be to Australia. Where would you fly out of? Chicago? Is that right? Okay, so Chicago, I think is about a 14 or a 16-hour flight to Brisbane. So it is quite a long flight, but it's also quite fun because you get to have a little sleep and watch movies, and you're sort of disconnected offline, which is sort of relaxing as well. So most of our international students will fly into Brisbane. And again, that's the capital city. And then we'll have arranged a bus transfer for you, and you'll be taken all the way to the Sunshine Coast, and you'll be dropped off at your student accommodation as well. And the Sunshine Coast region actually spans from Caloundra all the way through to Noosa. And this is approximately 40 miles of beach and ocean. So it is a really beautiful region. So when we say the Sunshine Coast, it really incorporates this, this whole region here. And it's the coastline as well as the hinterland, which is some beautiful hiking and trail tracks. We're really lucky to have the Sunshine Coast Airport. So that's a domestic airport where you can actually travel down to Sydney 5 times a day. So we have flights 5 times a day to Sydney, Melbourne, up to Cairns, which is the Great Barrier Reef. So if anybody's interested in snorkeling and things like that, we have access to a domestic airport, and it does go quite frequently. And during certain seasons, we also have flights to New Zealand. If you are coming all the way down to Australia, it might be a nice idea to take the 2 or 3 hour flight over to New Zealand. It's another beautiful country. I am a little bit biased, I'm from New Zealand, but it is another great country if you're really looking to sort of check out Australia and New Zealand at the same time. So that's sort of a little bit about the region. We have a population of about 380,000 residents on the Sunshine Coast. And I would say that, to give you an idea of our subtropical climate that we have here, I would say it has just come in, it's come into spring here in Australia, and this morning it's about 22 degrees Celsius. So I'd like to say that's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I think my conversions might be a little bit off, but it does get quite warm, and we have nice weather most of the year round. We don't get snow, and we don't get below 0 here on the Sunshine Coast. So if you're looking to get out of the colder weather, then Australia and Queensland is not a bad place to come to either. And then, yeah, it's a pretty safe environment on the Sunshine Coast. We do have a saying, just to get the mentality, as long as the beer is cold and the surf is good, there are no worries in life. So just to give you that mentality of what it's like on the Sunshine Coast, we are pretty laid back and relaxed. We're really sort of an outdoor lifestyle. So like I said, we get up early, we're out walking the beach or hiking a mountain. And yeah, it's not a 24/7 city like, say, Brisbane or Chicago or something like that. It is really a typical Australian experience. So a little bit about the campus. So I know that US campuses are quite large in comparison to some of our Australian campuses. So I thought I'd try and give you an overview of what it looks like. So this is an aerial shot of our campus here. And as I mentioned earlier, we have kangaroos on campus, and the reason for that is because we're built on a wildlife reserve. So we have 100 hectares of green land. We have a frog and duck habitat at the front of the campus, and we have a bird sanctuary at the back, and we have approximately 260 different types of species on campus. So if you are somebody that's interested in animals, or if you're studying animal ecology or sciences, that might be quite a unique experience for you as well. Our campus is quite open, again, because we've got nice weather most of the year round. And I think the awesome part about that is that you can actually stay outside and study and enjoy the weather. And you can actually walk in between classes. It only takes about 2 to 4 minutes. So you can actually schedule back-to-back classes as well. We do have private student accommodation, which is just set out the back here, and it's only a 5-minute walk to class. So you can have a nice sleep in the morning and then stroll over when you're ready, or you can get up early and go surfing and do all those different types of things you'd like to do. And our international students are guaranteed housing, and I'll speak a little bit about that shortly. As you can see, most importantly for some of our international students, the beach is only a 7-minute drive from campus. So it's nice and close. And we also have a public transport hub on campus as well. So the transport or the bus system actually services the whole of the Sunshine Coast every 20 minutes. So you can get into the Central Business District, you can get to the nightlife precinct, and to the shopping centres and cinemas and everything like that as well. Like America, I think Australians are very into their sport, and it's a great way to meet people. So we actually have a very large sports precinct over to the left of the screen, and USC is actually very well known for our sports and exercise science program and our high performance athletes. So we're actually home to the Australian Cycling Academy, and also the Australian Paralympic Swim Squad. So if you are studying in the sciences, it's a really good opportunity to sort of be able to test theories and concepts on actual athletes, and we have access to those athletes on campus as well, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, if you're more of a social person like me, we also have a lot of social clubs. One of my favourite clubs is actually the Quidditch team. So if anyone's into Harry Potter and wants to play Quidditch, I'm not sure if it's comparable to the American sort of the college sports system, but here in Australia, Australian universities, there's only 42 of us, and we actually meet up twice a year, and we host the university games and in both a summer and a winter edition. And it's not for professional athletes, it's just for anybody that's involved in sport and social element. And USC is actually the current Quidditch champions, so I think that's quite cool. But we also do skiing and basketball and tennis and all those different types of things, and we have a number of other social clubs, from photography, drama, arts, and even an outdoor group that goes hiking and camping as well. So if you're looking to make friends, Australia is going to be an easy place for you to fit in, because obviously we share a common language between us, but it's a little bit easier because we understand each other's sense of humour as well. So I think you won't find it very hard at all to meet friends while you're studying abroad. So that's a little bit about the region and the Sunshine Coast campus. And yeah, so a little bit more about the actual demographics on our campus. We have about 11,500 students on campus. And that actually makes us one of the smallest in Australia. Most other Australian universities have sort of 20 to 30,000 students on campus. As a study abroad student, you'll actually get to study or choose from over 280 different courses. The benefit of going to an English-speaking country is you don't have to meet any language requirements in terms of the courses that we do offer. And we do actually offer some Japanese and Italian classes as well. So they're the only 2 languages we offer at USC, but it's quite a range of courses for you to choose from. And those courses come from over 50 different study areas. So I'll run through some of the major ones that we do have, but within that they break down into a range of different study areas. So we offer pretty much everything with the exception of medicine and veterinary science to students. But we do courses in animal ecology, medicine and nursing, but you can't do the more of the practical elements of those ones. Most of our students are studying their undergraduate degree, so you'll see a lot of full-time students on campus as well, and the average age for students on campus is about 26. So in Australia, most of our students or high school leavers will take a gap year. So they'll take 1 year off and they'll go and travel around the world or work for a year or two, and then they'll come back to university. And then another major difference is our undergraduate degree is only 3 years in length. It's not a 4-year program, unless it's a specific area like engineering or maybe some of the science subjects as well. So that's a little bit about the campus environment. And then our international students. So we're actually really lucky. We have about 10 to 15% of our students coming from countries all over the world. And there's, depending on the semester, obviously, but there's usually about 80 different countries represented. So while it's a really huge bonus to learn about the Australian environment and the Australian culture, it's also a really great opportunity to meet people from all over the world. And I think that's a really important element of studying abroad and becoming a global citizen. You get to really engage with people from different cultures, and you get to learn about yourself and how to communicate with others that have different beliefs and perspectives. So I think that's a really nice element of studying abroad in another country as well. And then just down the bottom there, we have some good university guide shields. So USC is actually one of Australia's highest rated public universities for teaching quality, overall student experience, skills development, social equity, and first generation and learning resources. So the Good Universities Guide is a system that Australian students would identify which university best suits what they're looking for during their studies as well. And then in terms of public universities versus private, out of the 42 universities in Australia, only one of them is private. So all the rest are public universities. So just to put that into perspective, I know there's quite a lot of difference in the US, there's both public and private as well. Yeah, so the study abroad program. So we're a partner university, so the good thing about it is you'll usually be approved your courses before you come and study at USC, so that you're guaranteed the credit upon successful completion. So making sure you do pass that subject so that you'll get the credit towards your degree back home. So you're not wasting time in terms of just studying abroad for 6 months to a year. You are actually earning credit that will go towards your degree back home as well. So I think that's really important. And the best thing is you can, again, choose from programs and courses through our whole undergraduate program. So we have business, IT and tourism, creative industries, communication. You can take general elective classes. So there's quite a diverse range that you can take. And within that, you'll usually take 3 or 4 courses, and 4 courses at USC would be equivalent to about 12 to 15 US credits. So it's sort of a full semester. And then out of that, you are actually enrolled in courses from, again, our undergraduate students. So they are Australian students studying their undergraduate degree or their bachelor degree. So you're not removed and put in a group with all internationals. You are really immersed in the Australian study periods as well. So it gives you more chance to meet Australians and international students from all over the world. And then the best thing about most Australian universities, all of the course outlines will actually be online. So if you're looking at trying to work out if the course would be appropriate or what types of things you could study, we encourage you to visit the course catalogues that we do have online, and it will give you a really good indication of what's studied, what type of learning outcomes there are, any exams that might take place or any assignments that are due. So I think that's really helpful when you are trying to identify a university that's best going to suit what you're looking for. I think that's a really important element. So not only do you want to study in a cool location that offers a great lifestyle, but you really want to choose a university that offers programs and courses that are best suited to your degree and that can help you in the future leverage, especially when you're going into the job market. So I think that's really important. I would say 2 of my favourite courses at USC are in the outdoor environmental sciences. And while they are a science subject, they're really awesome to sort of see the Australian and the Sunshine Coast region. So you actually, part of those courses, they are first year or second year courses. So they're relatively suitable for anybody coming from a non-science background, and you get to go kayaking on like the Everglades on the Sunshine Coast, and you'll get to see some of the really cool bird life and water life. And then another one is going to Fraser Island, which is a World Heritage listed sand dune island, and you'll get to see like the most amazing ecosystems in terms of white silicon sand, Australian dingoes, which is a wild dog. You'll get to see beautiful marine life, and it's just off the coast of the Sunshine Coast. And that sort of outdoor environmental science group, there's some really cool classes in there. So if you're looking to get out and to explore a little bit but still be studying, those outdoor environmental science classes are really cool. Just as, yeah, if you're interested in that type of thing. And then the academic calendar. So just keeping in mind that Australia is in the Southern Hemisphere, so we are sort of back to front with our seasons, but the semesters usually work out okay. We have what's called semester 1, which is the spring semester, and that goes from March through till June. And then semester 2, which is the fall semester, and that's July through November. And I've put 2021 dates up there just as an example, but they will be quite similar for 2022 as well. And then always make sure you speak with your advisors as well, just to make sure that it fits in with your program and when's best to study abroad. As a partner university, we do also offer a partner discount for students that are studying abroad, but we're also offering a scholarship discount as well on top of that. Given the current climate of what's happening around the world, this will actually roll into 2022 as well. So we're offering scholarships for our international students. And while it says there that you must be eligible, all you have to do is be an international student and you'll receive the scholarship as well. So if you're looking into the costs, I recommend speaking with Beth in the international office, and we'll provide you with the costs around studying abroad at USC as well. And Beth might have some more information around whether any of your financial aid might transfer across or vice versa too. Yeah, so student wellbeing and health, I think that's a really important element traveling abroad. You are stepping out of your comfort zone and going abroad and learning new things, and guaranteed there will be challenges along the way and things to get used to. So I think it's really important to identify and find out what the support services that are available to you when you're studying abroad. Most Australian universities will have support services for students, and it's a really good system. We have academic learning advice, student success, so that's in terms of how you're progressing with your courses, counselling services on campus or anonymously, so you can call or Skype in. Disability support. We've actually had a number of students that are both able-bodied and unable-bodied, but we've had students from America that are paraplegic come and study at USC. So we have all these services that will be available to you. Even though you're an international student, you'll get exactly what's offered to our domestic students here in Australia as well. We have on-campus safety or security, and the health and wellbeing initiatives are actually really cool. So we have like yoga and stress less type of days where we have music or bands come onto campus and sort of play some music for us before those stressful exam periods as well, which is pretty cool. I've already mentioned the clubs and societies. And then we also have career and employability information. So if you're looking to work while you're in Australia, a really cool thing about the student visa that you have, it allows you work opportunities as well. So you can actually work for up to 20 hours per week as a student, and the minimum wage in Australia is about $18 an hour. So it is quite nice. Of course, the Australian dollar is a little bit weaker than the US, but it's still very good. And then one other thing while we're talking about money, you don't have to tip in Australia. So whatever you're paying for, that is the price inclusive of tax and inclusive of paying the staff. So the Australians are paid very well. You don't need to tip them anymore. Of course, if you wanted to, you could, but you don't need to do that at all. And then obviously in the current situation, the American dollar is a lot stronger than the Australian dollar. So it's a great time to travel abroad. So when you are looking into travel opportunities, make sure you take into consideration the conversion rates of currency as well. I think that's really important. And then What else do I have here? So why study abroad and why choose USC? So I think I'm going to make this a little bit more general in terms of not just USC, I think studying abroad in general. I think that studying abroad allows you to, as I mentioned throughout the presentation, it's a really great way to find out a little bit more about yourself as an individual, but also to learn about another culture and immerse yourself really in that sort of culture and a different learning environment. But also it's the best time to study abroad when you're currently in your education or in your degree. There's not going to be another time that's more convenient. Once you finish your degree, you'll probably be job searching, looking for a job. You might fall in love, get married, have children, and all these things sort of make it a lot harder to travel abroad and live somewhere for anywhere from 6 months to a year. So really during your education, it's an amazing opportunity to have to go abroad. And I think if you can do that, it's a great thing to do. I studied abroad in Germany during my degree, and it was life-changing. I absolutely loved it. I met people from all over the world, and I still have a really good connection with them now, even though it was 10 years ago. And I just think there's so many opportunities, and it opens your eyes, both personally but also professionally, to be able to deal with people from different cultures, communicate more effectively with people from other cultures. And especially in this day and age, we're a very diverse world. So during your work or during running a company, you will actually experience things that not only academically that you learn, but also that you learnt during your interactions with students and teachers and friends and traveling. So I think that's more important than even what the academic side is. It really teaches you some valuable life skills. And I think Australia in general is a beautiful country, but no matter where you study, you'll have an awesome experience. And again, find a university and a provider that best suits what you're looking for in a lifestyle, but also looking for in terms of education. And then, I think look for really authentic experiences, something that is different to what you currently have. And even though it might be challenging or hard, take the time to think about, it's only for 6 months. I'm going to go live somewhere that is completely different to what I'm used to. Just embrace it and know that there's going to be challenges, and don't set expectations, because I think that's when it makes it even harder. If you set high expectations and they don't meet your expectations, that's when it becomes a little bit harder to sort of move forward with. But just embrace every moment of it, and talk to students that have studied abroad before. Make sure you do your own research, jump online, check out social media channels or people that have studied abroad and reach out to them. I know that our students on our Instagram page, they're very happy to speak with you and chat to you. So we usually tag the students in, and you can reach out to those students if you have any questions, and they're all international students as well. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of USC, but I think it's best to get advice from other people that have studied abroad. And then I was just going to mention the accommodation. So I'll just touch on that. So for accommodation, we are very lucky on the Sunshine Coast, a little bit different to the dorm style situation. We actually have apartment style accommodation, and it's privately owned, but it's all fully furnished. You have your own bedroom and your own bathroom, and then you'll have a unit or an apartment that you share with 3 other people. So there's 4 of you in that apartment, and then you'll have a common area, a living room, and a kitchen as well. So we don't do meal plans here on the Sunshine Coast. You do cook your own food, but of course we do have McDonald's and Pizza Hut and sushi and all those different types of things right on campus and in the surrounding area. And another awesome thing is we do have Uber, Lyft and taxis as well. So if you need to get around, my biggest advice, no matter where you go, especially in a country like the US and Australia, make friends with Australians, because they'll have a car and they'll be able to get you around places a little bit quicker than maybe catching public transport, and you'll be able to go and explore local areas or go camping or go hiking or visit the city and stay at a hostel or things like that. So that would be my biggest advice, to meet people that are Australian and have access to transport as well. But does anyone have any questions for me? I know our time's up, but if you have any questions, jump in and I'll be happy to try and answer those quickly as well.
Anybody have questions? You can unmute or type them in if you have any questions. And I did put in the chat the link to our Studio Abroad site where you can find out more information about the University of Sunshine Coast. The process here at Augustana is that you apply through Augustana first, and once you're accepted to Augustana, then we will send you on to USC for their application process. And applications for the 21-22 season will open November 1st. And okay, thank you, Emma. And then also, if you have questions about study abroad, if you want to talk about your options or finances, or just kind of, chat about, timing and things like that, you can set up a virtual appointment through Handshake, and either Pedro or I are happy to meet with you at any time. So, all right. Well, I found this very informative, and I'm ready to come and visit. You guys want to come with? I think we need to make a trip. Well, thank you, Alana, very much. That was very informative. You have a wonderful program, and hopefully we'll be able to travel soon, and you'll have some Augustana students visiting next year.
I completely agree. I hope everyone has a great semester and stay healthy and safe, and let's keep positive for the future, and hopefully